So, you're thinking about becoming a psych nurse. You have all this passion and you're trying to figure out which is the best place for you to work at to get the best psych experience. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the top 5 places where you should work at to get the best psych experience. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Life of a Psych NP. If you are new to this channel, let me formally introduce myself. I'm Darty. I'm a board-certified psychiatric nurse practitioner, and in this channel, I go over several different subjects to educate the public about mental health, ways to improve your lifestyle, topics related to nursing, nurse practitioners, and how to grow and start your own private practice. So if you are interested in any of these videos, please feel free to subscribe. Make sure you like this video because it helps me out so much. It helps me out with the algorithm and keeps me motivated to wanting to make more videos for you guys. So make sure you like the video. And if you haven't followed me already, follow me on Instagram at LifeofaPsychNP. So with more and more people wanting to become psychiatric nurse practitioners, more and more people are looking at different avenues in order for them to get the best type of psych experience out there. And there's so many different psych settings to work in, but I wanted to narrow down the top 5 places that I would want to work in to get the psych experience, because at the end of the day, depending on what type of experience you get, is going to be beneficial for you in the long run, regardless of if you want to be a Psych NP, or if you just want to stay as a psych nurse and give back as much as possible. And in this video, I wanted to go over the top 5 places that I truly believe that you would get the best type of psych experience. So without further ado, let's get started. So before we get started, I wanted to go over something super exciting. If you already follow me on Instagram, then you know that we just recently released the Psych NP handbook. So this Psych NP handbook is perfect for Psych NP students, and it's perfect for new grad Psych NPs because it gives you all of the tools necessary for you to practice efficiently and safely. It gives you intake forms, so meaning it's going to give you a new eval template that's going to help guide you in asking the right questions in order for you to get all the information needed. It goes over screener questions, so these screener questions are going to be helpful, especially when you want to be able to diagnose appropriately. And I also go over checklists that's going to help you diagnose this and actually give you the different diagnostic criteria in order for you to diagnose properly. We go over certain medications, we go over all the common diagnoses out there, all the common medications out there, what they're used for, secondary indications, clinical pearls, and we even go over handouts that are going to be beneficial for patients in order for them to be able to get the full extent of your care. So in this book, we provide all of that, and we are having a discount right now that's going to be ending in a month. It is 25% off of this book. I am going to link down below the book and the code, so make sure you use that. So without further ado, let's go over the top 5 places that you should work at to get the best psych experience. So let's go. So coming in at number 5 is being a home health psych RN. So this is a great job because as a home health psych RN, you're pretty much a home health nurse, but you're following psych patients. So the beauty about this is you get to follow up with these patients and actually provide intakes, do follow-ups, and you're pretty much asking similar questions that you would be doing as a Psych NP. You get to be able to see how well they're doing on the certain medications. Obviously, you're not going to be prescribing the medications, but when you're following up and seeing how well they're doing on the medications, you get to do all of that, and you get to do MSCs, and you just get to talk to the patients on your own time and being able to assess that. The reason why I put this on number 5 on my list is because you get to do so much. Although you're not going to be seeing them in their acute state, but at least you get to be able to talk to them. You get to see how well they're responding to the medications, see if they're having any side effects. You get to understand why they're on these type of medications and seeing if the medication's working. So this is the reason why I think this is great experience, because one, you don't necessarily have to be in the unit the whole time and you can just be a regular home health nurse, but you get to provide home health services for patients that are on psychotropic meds or considered having mental disorders. So this is a great job for you to get experience, especially when you want to learn how to talk to psych patients, when you want to learn which questions to ask, and just to kind of review their medications and all of those things. This is great experience. So coming in at number 4 is Psych Urgent Care Nurse. So being a Psych Urgent Care Nurse is an amazing job because you get to assess and evaluate patients that are relatively stable. They're either wanting to come in for initial evaluation, like a psychiatric evaluation, or they're just wanting medication refills. But the beauty of this is you get to be able to do the assessment before that. You don't necessarily have a specific time frame in order to do it, but you get to do the evaluation and do the intake in order for them to see what the next best step is. So this is amazing because you get to do all of your screeners. You get to see why they're in, and then you can kind of formulate certain diagnoses. Obviously you can't diagnose them, but if you know the diagnostic criteria in the back of your head, then you can start to pick up how to be able to diagnose that, especially when you want to go in the field of being a Psych NP. So this is going to be extremely beneficial for you. And if they're on certain combination of medications, you get to see which medications there are and then see why they're on that medication, and then you can see the certain doses, so you'll be able to learn it from there. This is great experience, especially for people that don't necessarily want to be in a highly acute setting, but want to be able to still see patients that have psychiatric disorders and actually see why they're on that medication or what's going to actually help them in the long run. So coming in at number 3 is working as a psych nurse on a crisis stabilization unit. The reason why I say this is a great psych experience is because you get to provide services that'll kind of help people in crisis, whether they're super psychotic, whether they're manic, if they're depressed, homicidal, suicidal. You get to be able to provide services that's going to intervene quickly. So this is a little bit different compared to a psych ER, but depending on where you're located, it may be similar. But within this setting, you get to provide all of these services, and if they're not as severe, you can provide them services that can actually be linked towards getting mental health outside of these facilities. So you get to do outpatient settings, or you get to go IOP, or you get to be linking them with community resources. But the gist of it is you'll get to be able to help patients within crisis and in order for them to stabilize. And depending on how severe they are, you can actually provide services that act like a mini inpatient unit until they're transferred out into an inpatient hospital. So this is great experience because you get to see the spectrum of patients along with how severe. They can range from super stable all the way to super unstable. So depending on type of patients you get, you could actually experience all of that when working in the crisis stabilization unit. So coming in at number 2 is working in the psych ER as a psych nurse. So this is great experience, especially when you want pure psych experience. The reason why I say this is because you're going to be dealing with patients that have higher levels of acuity. And this is great psych experience because you get to do everything in order for you to evaluate them, in order for you to assess them properly, provide interventions properly. You get to do all of these things, and they're going to be at higher levels of acuity, meaning you're dealing with patients that are extremely psychotic, extremely depressed, extremely manic, extremely anxious, extremely suicidal or homicidal. So depending on why they actually came in, a lot of the times they're going to be dropped off by PD. They're already on an involuntary hold, and it's just a matter of the psychiatrist or nurse practitioner to evaluate them to see if they need to be either discharged home to the community or if they're going to be sent to a different unit. So the psych ER kind of places them in certain areas, and as the nurse, you get to be able to take care of these patients in this acute state and be able to provide interventions in order for them to be successfully treated mentally. So coming in at number 1 for the top place for you to get psych experience, in my opinion, is working on an inpatient psychiatric unit. So the reason why I truly believe this is the best place to get psych experience is because you get to see the whole process. So when you admit a patient, you get to do your own intake, and you can kind of come up with your own nursing diagnosis, but you're kind of familiarizing it compared to what a regular diagnosis is. And the second part is you get to be able to communicate with so many different team members. So you're communicating with a psychiatrist or the nurse practitioner or the PA, the medical doctor, if they have a medical staff on board. You get to talk to a social worker, mental health worker, you get to talk to therapists, you get to talk to everyone that's part of their care or part of the team in order for them to get the best type of care possible. And you get to see all of the moving parts that are within this team to make sure that the patient gets stabilized. And you get to do all of these things. You get to understand how medications work. You get to know the certain dosing. You get to know how fast you can titrate up on medications or how fast you can titrate down on medications. And you get to learn all of these things with an inpatient setting, along with being able to provide your own type of care to the patients by being able to see how they're doing on a day-to-day basis based off of the interventions done. So this is the best psych experience, especially if you want to be a psych nurse practitioner, because you get to see all of those moving parts in order for them to take care of the patient. Yes, you might not necessarily see just the stable patients, but you get to see them, how high acuity levels they are, and then see them stabilizing and stabilizing and stabilizing until they're stable enough to go home. So this is a great area for you to work in. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to learn something today, and I hope it inspired one of you guys in order for you to seek psych experience, especially when you want to be a Psych NP. And I hope it showed you the different variations of where you can actually work as a psych nurse. And I went down from 5 all the way to 1, and like I said, working inpatient psych is my preference, but it's not everyone else's preference. It just depends on what type of psych experience you want. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, have a wonderful day. Until next time, bye!